Hello, welcome to another Land Effects webinar. We're happy that you're here. This is our 101 First Steps with Land Effects. And we previously had a version of this recorded many years ago. And as you can expect, the software has evolved quite a bit since then. So we're here to redo this one, and we're happy you're here. This could be a good webinar for new users. It could also be a great webinar for existing users to brush up on your skills. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. There are a few buttons at the bottom of your screen. There's a Q&A button, and we will be actively monitoring that. So if you have some questions for us about the presentation, please put them in the Q&A box as opposed to the chat box, which you will also see down there. So yeah, the Q&A is the good one to use. And that's about it. Let's give it over to Paul, our extremely talented presenter today, and let's see what he has to say.
Thank you, Forrest. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing well this Friday or whenever you're watching this video, if you're watching the recorded version. Today, we are going to be looking at the very first steps of working in Land Effects. As Forrest mentioned, this is intended for Land Effects users, or perhaps folks who are interested in using Land Effects, but have not yet made the commitment to switching from their current process. My name is Paul, and I'll be your narrator for the next 45 minutes or so. And here is what we'll be going over today. First, I just want to talk a little bit about what is Land Effects. And then we're going to take a look at navigating installation, which is just going to be a sort of a broad overview of the different components of Land Effects and how they sort of interact with each other. And then I want to brush up on some resources that are available to everyone right now. These are great for learning the software, finding solutions to issues, etc. So there's a whole bunch of them. So I want to touch up on those. And then we'll jump into CAD and we'll just go over some basic beginning things like starting a new drawing, setting your units and scale, and then maybe setting up a project, using some smart objects. Yeah, so let's get into it. So what is Land Effects? Land Effects provides new tools inside of AutoCAD. Additionally, we also provide new tools for landscape architects in Revit, Rhino, and SketchUp. The purpose of this presentation is just to look at the AutoCAD side of things, since it's still the largest platform that we use. But if you are interested in looking at Land Effects in Revit or Rhino or SketchUp, I would suggest going to landeffects.com and doing a search for any of those. And we have a bunch of information on using those platforms. But every tool in Land Effects has been created for the users and requested by our users. So all of our tools are geared specifically for your tasks. And the goal of Land Effects tools is to simplify tedious or difficult tasks or otherwise time-consuming or mundane tasks. Anything that can be automated within the system is, and this ends up saving hours to days to perhaps even weeks of time on any size project. These are the three elements that you get with Land Effects, or the FX workstation, as you might see it called. One is the content library. So the content library is a folder that includes all of the Land Effects block and hatch content that is used in CAD. And we have a lot of assets that come with your installation that are set up and ready to use. But it's number two that makes Land Effects special. So there are a lot of different sources where you can find content library, like you can download blocks and hatches from other websites. But what makes Land Effects special is that the data behind those objects makes them smart so that you can do a lot of the automation that is done in LandFX. So the database holds all of the information within your projects. And then the LandFX tools, number 3, automate these tasks. Tasks such as counting plants automatically, placing schedules with a couple clicks of a mouse, automating labels. All that is done with the combination of the content and the data behind it. So how it's all connected, these 3 items. So this is sort of an ideal setup for a multi-user office, where on the left you have your different workstations or computers. And on those, you will have your AutoCAD installed, or if you go with our route, FXCAD, which is just our version of AutoCAD. You'll have that installed on your workstations. In addition, you will have the FX workstation installed, which is all the LandFX stuff. And that'll be tied into your AutoCAD. These workstations are then tied to the LandFX folder, which stores all of your content. And in a multi-user office, you'll want this content to be shared amongst all the users. So that folder will live on an office server or a shared online folder or cloud storage drive. And then these workstations will also be connected to the Office LandFX database, where all of that project-specific information is stored. So the content library contains over 30,000 blocks and hatches for planting, irrigation equipment, site elements like amenities, and hatches for hardscape, details, manufacturer-specific products, 3D models, families, and components. We have a great content team that is producing content for LandFX every day. So this list is continually growing. And because this folder is accessible by everyone in the office, you have the ability to add your own custom content to it. So if you want different plant blocks to be used instead of the ones that we offer, you can add your own in. The content is stored in an Office library folder called the LandFX folder. This is what it looks like on the right. If you're just a single user on a single workstation, you can keep the LandFX folder on your local drive, which is how I have mine set up. The LandFX folder is just directly on the C drive. But if you have 2 or more users, you'll likely want to have this LandFX folder on a shared location. So that would be the cloud storage drive or shared online folder, or a shared network drive or office server. And as stated, the database contains all of that smart information that makes LandFX so great. So that includes all of your plant information, irrigation equipment information, the names of your details, the numbers of your details, the sheets that they're associated with, the specifications for site amenities, the symbol association to all of these different items. It even holds your office style standards and so much more. And you can kind of see that at work here on the right, where the plant information dialog box, that's all the information that is tied to that full moon maple. And that is saved into that database for that specific project. And so when you go to place a label, it's only a couple of clicks, and it counted up those 3 trees for me. It inserted the plant code automatically, and it recognized the height and put that in the label as well. This database is set up on either a local server, which we call local data, or on the cloud, which is what we call cloud data. Cloud data is what we recommend. It makes your life a little bit easier, or a lot easier, I should say, especially if you have multiple users in your office. And so cloud data is a service that is provided for free. We provide that. It's safe and reliable. Your data is secure. It makes it easier to share your data with others, and it makes it easier for us to troubleshoot items that might be going on with your data if it's already on the cloud. And the third item are the tools that are included with LandFX. You can see these in the FX ribbons on the right here. So when you run the workstation installer, or if you install FX CAD, these ribbons are added to your CAD interface automatically. And they just include all of the tools that you need to complete your plans. And each of these tools or commands helps with automating long, tedious, and common tasks. Things like automating scaling. So if you set a plot scale, all of your annotations and labels and whatnot, dimensions are scaled automatically. Gives you the ability to quantify objects automatically. There are buttons and tools for checking for errors, and it'll notify you of these errors, making checking for them easier, but also correcting those errors very quick. And then also enforcing your office standards. On the right here, I placed that plant schedule with 3 mouse clicks. It was the plant schedule button. I clicked OK to acknowledge the settings that were already set up, and then I clicked to place it. And it did all that information that's in there automatically. So just a quick recap of how this works. LandFX automatically sets up and organizes the content that you're going to be using in your CAD drawings. The database holds all of the technical information in your projects. And the LandFX tools, which is what you'll see in CAD, combine the content and the data in your drawing and automates tasks as much as possible. So while this webinar is a great little asset for learning the first steps with LandFX, there's a whole lot more to go over. And so here are some resources that can help you on that journey. So we got the LandFX trainer. We've got support documentation. We have hundreds of hours of video content, and we have technical support. The LandFX trainer, which is something that we revamped recently, I think last year, is a series of lessons and tutorials for learning about LandFX tools without leaving CAD. So you can open up this trainer while you're in CAD and go through these lessons. So for example, you're wanting to learn about the irrigation tools, open up the trainer and click on irrigation. And it'll give you an overview of the irrigation tools. The second video is going to be about creating a new project. So starting at the very beginning, and each step is going to kind of walk you through each of the basic tools for getting to know the irrigation module. And at the end of many of these videos, it'll give you a little task. So you can leave the video open and perform that task in CAD. And if you've done it correctly, the system will actually check if you've done it correctly and tell you if you've done it right or not. And you can access this with a button that's in the ribbon called Trainer, or you can type LandFX into the command line and press Enter. And of course, there's our website, which I hope everyone is going to be using a lot because there is so much available on it. And it's all free. So we have our documentation, which is articles for every aspect of the software, fully explained. And then we have knowledge-based articles, which are geared towards identifying problems and providing solutions. So anytime one of our users comes to us with an issue that they're experiencing, we'll provide a solution for them. But if it's not already documented, we'll create a page for that where we'll identify the problem and provide a solution. We also have LandFX discussion forums so that our users can get together and discuss aspects of the software. And then Power Tip videos are quick 2-ish minutes videos that go over Well, all aspects of the software really, but a lot of times they're kind of specific little workflows that are, little tricks and little neat tips to help you with your work there. And then, of course, we have more webinars. When I checked our webinar list, I believe yesterday, just to see how many webinars we've done over the last, 10 or so years, we're up to over 340 webinars so far. And so we have a new one of those every couple of weeks. So that will still keep growing. And then, of course, we have technical support, which you can access on our website. Or if you want to contact us directly instead of going through the website, you can send us an email at support@landeffects.com or just give our office a call at 805-541-1003. Okay, let's get into the demonstration. Real quick, I have some tutorial files here that I'm going to throw into the chat box. Oop. So if you go down to the bottom of your Zoom window, you should see a chat button. And if you open that up, you can download this zip file called First Steps LandFX files. And I provided these so that you can follow along if you wish while I go over some of the stuff in CAD. If you're watching the recorded version of this, this set of files will be available in the either the description or down below the video. So I've already downloaded this, obviously, and I place it directly on my desktop. It is a compressed folder, so I want to Oh, it looks like people aren't seeing the files in chat.
That is unfortunate. Yeah, I'm seeing it right here, but we will make sure to get it to everyone. Let me see if I can post it in the Q&A.
Ah, maybe that's why. I think I had a. Let's try that again.
Oh, yep. Yeah, Paul, you need to change the setting.
There we go. I had only sent it to the host and panelists. So does everyone see it now? Okay, great. Looks like it's there. So go ahead and download that if you want to follow along and extract the contents. And what's available in this folder are a few different drawings, AutoCAD drawings in different unit settings. So you should see imperial and metric. So depending on where you are in the world or who your office works with, choose the unit setting that you would like to be working in. The files are the exact same otherwise, just a difference in units. I'm going to be working in imperial decimal feet. And once you get into your specific unit settings, there's a folder for AutoCAD files and the DWT template. So I guess while everyone's downloading those and getting those set up, I'm just going to take a look at what LandFX looks like when you have it added onto your AutoCAD platform. So I may have mentioned this already, but I'm working with FXCAD, which is our version of AutoCAD. It is the official AutoCAD engine. We just rebrand it with Autodesk permission, of course, and sell it at a lower price than full AutoCAD. But you can use LandFX on Civil 3D, AutoCAD architecture, and full AutoCAD, basically any AutoCAD except for AutoCAD LT. And this is basically what it looks like. You'll have your FX admin tab, FX site tab, FX planting, if you have FX irrigation, you'll have the FX irrigation tab and FX details. Feel free to click around in these tabs rather, and take a look at what the tools look like. If you have any questions about what these tools are and what they do, it's a good idea to float your mouse over any of these tools, and a little flyout will pop up, and it'll tell you what it is. It'll give you a little description of what it does. And if possible, it may even give you a little diagram, sort of visually explaining what that tool does. So if you have any questions about the tool and the name of the tool isn't enough to explain it, go ahead and float your mouse over it, and you can see what that tool does. And if you want even more information about that tool, float your mouse over the tool, get that little flyout, and press the F1 key. And it's going to open up a link directly to the documentation page on that tool, which should be a very comprehensive explanation of what that tool does. So you may be tempted to immediately start drawing in the model space here, placing lines or blocks or whatnot. But I want to take a step backwards and actually open a base file. Typically, you'll be working with consultants, whether it's surveyors or engineers or architects, and they will send you some sort of a base file for you to use. And it'll be really great to, while you're learning LandFX, to get used to cleaning those files before you use them. The number one issue that we see from our users comes from something we call drawing corruption, which is basically issues related to proxy objects and registered applications that all come from consultant drawings. And so whenever you get these consultant drawings, it's a good idea to clean those. So I'm going to open up my base file, which is included in that file set that I sent over. And we're just going to pretend like this came from one of those consultants. So there's one proxy in here. So it's pretty clean already, but I just want to show you what to do with the base file once you get it. So open that up. And as you can see in the base file, this is just kind of a base that we use for presentations. And it's just got a bunch of stuff in here, some roads, buildings, parking lot, some park and plaza stuff. Over here, there's a mansion sort of floor plan. But let's just say that this is the base we got, and we want to clean it so that we can use it and design on top of it. What we don't want to do is start designing directly in this file. We want to instead use it as an external reference, which means that it's going to be its own separate drawing file and placed into our design file so that we can see it, but it won't be editable. But we do want to clean it because those proxy objects and registered applications, those things that cause issues with drawing, at what we call drawing corruption, those things can travel through the drawings if they're extracted in together. So to clean the base file, let's go to the FX admin tab in the ribbon here. And there's a drop-down menu for cleanup, which has all of our individual cleaning steps. And if you want to learn about those, you can click the manual cleaning button, and it'll take you to a page explaining drawing corruption and then what each of these manual cleaning steps do. But because this is a consultant drawing, we actually recommend using the Nuke tool on these, or at least I do, because the Nuke tool is a single tool that runs all of those cleaning commands at once. And so it's faster than going through the manual cleaning steps. The manual cleaning steps are better for if the nuke tool fails for whatever reason. It can happen with all these different drawing types, or if maybe you forgot to clean your XREF or one of your XREFs before using it in a design, then you can use the manual cleanup tools on the LandFX design drawing. So let's click that nuke tool button right here, and you'll get a pop-up telling you what it's going to do. So first thing it's going to do is it's going to save a copy of this drawing file, just as a precaution, just in case anything happens. And it's going to have a suffix at the end of the file name that says quarantine. Then it's going to run an audit, which goes through and corrects all CAD errors. Then it's going to run the purge command, which basically removes all the unused junk from your drawing file. So it's going to run it 3 times. And like it says, it's going to remove registered applications. It's going to reset the scale list, delete DGN line types, and remove proxy objects. It's also going to remove layers that aren't being used. Basically, anything that's not important to this drawing, it's going to take it out. And it's going to set all of your entities by layer, which is how we recommend working in CAD. And then it's going to do a clean export. So it's going to, or it's going to save it out using WBlock. So you'll have a new file. It'll be the same name, but it'll be the clean version. So click OK. If you see the command line, it went through a bunch of different cleaning steps there. And now we have a clean file and a previous version file here. So here's what the files look like. This one that says quarantine, that's the save as or the copy. And this is the new file that has been cleaned. And notice the file size difference. Even though it was a very clean file to begin with, it still removed enough items to lower the file size a little bit. If you're working with real consultant drawings that have not been cleaned, you're probably going to see a much larger gap in the file size, which just means that your file is going to be running faster, not as sluggish, and optimized to be used as an XREF. So once we've cleaned our file, let's go ahead and close CAD down, because I've heard that some of these objects, certain proxy objects, can somehow remain floating around if you leave CAD open. I don't know if I've seen it personally, but it's something we recommend after cleaning your files to close and reopen the CAD there. So Michelle asked, where is the nuke option? So if you go to the FX admin tab, which is here at the top, there's a button that says nuke. And that's what I clicked on. Otherwise, you can type nuke into the command line and it'll activate the same tool. Okay, so we have a clean base file to work with. Let's now go through using it as an external reference in a design file. So in your tutorial folder, if you back out of the AutoCAD folder, there's a DWT folder, which DWT is a AutoCAD drawing template file. And what this is, it's kind of like a read-only version of a drawing file or a DWG file that when you open it, it basically opens a new drawing, but it has all of the same content that was saved into the DWT file. If you are using FXCAD, these template files are already available for you. So if you go to open a new drawing and you go to Browse Templates, you should already see the LAFX-DWT and then whatever the unit setting is already available for you in your template folder if you're using FXCAD. If you're not using FXCAD, you can use the drawing templates that are provided in the folder that I just handed out. So I just opened a new drawing by double clicking the DWT file. And so basically it opened a new drawing based on that template. And in that template, it's very simple. Really the only thing that we've set up are a couple of layouts here, different sheet sizes. And we've placed our basic title block on those. If we go into model space, which is where we're going to be doing all of our design work, you'll see that there's nothing in here. If you're coming from designing landscapes in AutoCAD without land effects, you probably are used to having a bunch of stuff in here, like predefined blocks, hatches, text with text styles, dimensions with dimension styles, maybe even a bunch of layers that you commonly use. With land effects, you don't have to do that basically, and we actually recommend not doing that. Basically because our system sort of provides all of the benefits that having that stuff in your drawing template would, but without cluttering up your drawing from the get-go. So when you open a new drawing with land effects, you're starting very clean, and you don't have to sift through, hundreds of layers to find the layer that you're looking for, or, looking through your block library that's already placed on here to find a certain symbol to copy it around. Everything that you bring in with land effects, blocks, hatches, etc., already have layers assigned to them, and those will populate in your layer list as needed. The blocks that you use, say for plants, can already be tied to that plant. So all you got to do is place the plant, and the block will be defined in that drawing at that moment. Text styles and dimension styles are all saved into your user preferences. So the preferences are settings that apply to pretty much any drawing that you open and that is using that preference set. So you can set all those settings up. And so when you start a new drawing, you don't have to have those items actually defined in your drawing. Rather, they're saved in your preferences so that whenever you use like a label command, it's going to pull in that label that you want to use already. So we have our blank drawing open based on our template. A good first step is to save the drawing. So let's save this here. And I'll just call it my first drawing. And let's bring in that base file as an external reference. The way you do that with land effects, we have a tool called FXRef, which simplifies the XREF tool that AutoCAD has. And you can find that in the FX Admin tab here, over in General Tools. If we drop that down, and here's the FXRef tool. And it immediately prompts you to open a file. So let's find that base file that we set up, or that we cleaned rather, here. Make sure you don't use the one that says quarantine, and click open. And here's what the dialog looks like. It shows you where the file is. You can set the path to relative or full. We like relative. And the units here. One interesting thing is that if your units were not correct, you should always have your units matching between the XREF and the drawing that you're bringing it into. But say I was working in inches, and I didn't realize it because I didn't set my units first, and I was bringing in my base in feet, you get a pretty blaring indication that the units mismatch. So That's one great benefit to using the FXREF tool over the XREF tool from AutoCAD. It lets you know that there's a mismatch of units, and you can even drop this down and change the current drawing units to match those of the XREF. And click OK. And now our base file is added to our drawing. Now notice that if I open my units back up, to open your units, by the way, type UN into the command line and press enter. Notice that the units have been changed because I changed that in the FXREF dialog box. And since we're working in feet, we want to be also using decimal. So here is our design file with our XREF attached. And so now we can start placing objects on here. But let's say that at this point you want to print this out and do some conceptual design work with markers or pencils. Some people do that, I think, still. You don't have to do that. It's just kind of a good segue into my next topic here. And I wanted to show setting up the plot scale and also scaling the viewport on your sheet so that you can print it. So let's go down to the bottom here. I was in model space, and now I'm going to go to the 24 by 36 inch layout here and click on that. And this layout has the title block and a viewport already set up. The viewport is it's like a window that's placed on your sheet, and it looks into your model where all of your design stuff is. And right now it's blank. It's looking somewhere in the model where the line work is not. And so we want to basically position the window so that's looking at the right part of the model where we want to have it printed on the sheet. So we want to activate the viewport by double clicking anywhere within this green line. Double click. And then I'm using the middle mouse button, holding it down to pan around. And I can scroll in and out to zoom in and out. And let's focus on this building, which I believe is based on a real building in San Luis Obispo. It's a bank, I believe. And so we just want to pan around and zoom in and out until we find the area that we want to be working with and place it in the middle of the viewport. And you can zoom in and out. Not important right now because we're going to set the scale, which will change how this is scaled on the sheet. But just make sure that it's somewhere in the middle. And then while the viewport is still active, go up to your scale button here, which is the plot scale tool. And this is something that's important to set up in addition to your units when you're first starting your land effects drawing. So let's click plot scale and set a scale here. So I'm working in Imperial. Same process applies to metric. You just want to be in the metric side here. Make sure units match your drawing units, which they do. They should automatically. And let's try a 1 inch to 20 feet and click OK. Since your viewport is active, it'll ask you if you want to set the viewport scale. Click yes, and the viewport will automatically be scaled. So that now we know that on a 24 by 36 inch sheet, and in this viewport, this is a 1 inch equals 20 foot scale. If we activate the viewport again, maybe that's too far away. Maybe we want to be working closer to the building. We can change that scale again. Let's do 1 inch equals 10 feet. Click OK. Set the active viewport scale, and it'll zoom into the building. So now I'm working with a scale of 1 inch equals 10 feet. All right. And in addition to this geometry in the title block. Let's say we also want to place a scale bar and a north arrow, some common items you might throw on the sheet before printing it. So where you can find our default scale bars and north arrows is in the FX Site tab. Go to this blocks drop down here, drop that down, and go to Discipline Graphics, which will pop up like this. And then we go down to North/Scale. And we have various options to choose from. So any of the Scale-M blocks, these are blocks, that means that it's set up for metric users. So if you're using decimal millimeters or decimal meters, you're going to want to choose one of these M scales. Since we're working in imperial units, we want to use one of these three. So we'll choose a style that we like. I like this one. Click OK. And place it down there. And if we zoom in, it should automatically correspond to the scale that you've set. So the scale is 1 inch equals 10 feet. And so this should measure out 1 inch on the sheet when it's printed. And let's place a north arrow. Let's say north is that way. A step that I actually forgot is we want to lock this viewport. Once you've set up your viewport and you've got it scaled, it's a good idea to lock it so that you can't be adjusting the scale accidentally. So let's open up our AutoCAD properties. You can type prop or PR. And we're going to select the viewport, not activate it. We're not clicking within it twice. We're instead double clicking outside of it so that we're in paper space. And we're going to select the viewport. So it looks like that. And then go to where it says display locked in properties and change this to yes. And what that means is that if I activate the viewport again, so now I'm within model space looking through the window, I can't change the scale by using my middle mouse button there. All right, so I think that looks good. Let's print that out so that we can do some conceptual design work. Something I'm not going to do, but just want to show the printing process. So I show that again. I'm right clicking my mouse on the layout tab here, 24 by 36, and I'm going up to the plot option, which will bring up your plot settings dialog box. You'll want to set your plotter. So if you're doing a physical print, you want to choose your plotter, or if you're plotting to a PDF, choose your PDF plotter. I typically use the DWG to PDF.pc3. The paper size should already be set up. We're going to leave all of this as the default options, but over here in plot style table or pen assignments, if you don't see this stuff on the right, there's a little arrow here next to the help button. Click that so you can see your additional plot options here. We want to choose one of the lfx.ctb files. And a lot of times plot transparency is unchecked. If you have transparent objects in your drawing, you want to make sure to check plot transparency. But once your settings look good, click OK and save your PDF or send it to your plotter so that you get a physical print. And then do with that file as you wish. So we've shown plot scale, placing a scale bar, plot settings. I guess a few more things while we're here. Let's take a look at the help button. This help button in the ribbon is available in all of the FX tabs. Each one has a help drop down here. And these are great resources. So you got documentation help. So it'll open up the web page to our documentation. So you can search for any issues you have or tools, and it'll bring up results for that. You can read testimonials if you want. Go down here and you can actually browse through our documentation subjects to learn everything you need to know. Knowledge base is that identifying problems and providing solutions, articles, trending topics. So these are common issues that we have been experiencing lately. Notice the infection detection is on here. It's probably going to be on here forever because that is the drawing corruption issue, which is the most common issue because some folks don't clean their XREFs or their base files before using them. In addition to our documentation, you can go to watch those power tip videos or webinars. But I wanted to go down to the trainer and show you what that looks like, because if you are a brand new user, maybe you're on a trial and you're watching this and just getting a feel for LandFX, the trainer is a great place to start learning the tools. So click on trainer and it's going to open up this little web interface so that you don't have to leave CAD. And let's say we want to learn about planting tools. So each of these lessons has a video, and many of them have little tasks for you to complete so you can do it yourself. Notice that these are crossed off because I've done a few already. Let's say I wanted to learn about creating a new project. I can watch the video, which I don't think there's going to be sound for you anyways, but it's going to be a little video showing you how to set up a new project. And when you get to the end, our little FX superhero guy is going to give you a task. He says, okay, now go into CAD and try creating a new LandFX project yourself. Then come back here and click verify. Perfect. This is exactly what I wanted to show next. So we can actually leave this open while we set up our project. So we have our my first drawing already set up. We've added the base file as an external reference, and we even set up a sheet before actually placing anything in it. So what I want to do now is create a project, and a project is going to be where all of that smart data lives that is specific for this project. And that includes all of your planting materials, any site furnishings or hardscape objects, irrigation equipment, details associated with the project. All that's going to be stored into your project. So to start a new project, let's go to the FX Admin tab and click on the project list. And it's going to open up the LandFX projects dialog box. And if you are a brand new user and you haven't set one up yet, this is going to be blank. But as you start to work on projects and create new ones, all those will be listed here. To create a new project, click the New button. And we're going to give the project a number and a name. This is going to be up to your office standards, how you organize these. For mine, I'm just going to do 0824 and call it my first project, like so. If you have preference sets set up, this is where you can change the preference set. Those preference sets are those settings like text styles and label styles that can be applied to any drawing. And we don't have any templates right now, but if we had project templates, we could base it off of a template. So click OK once you've given it a number and a name. and it's going to create that new project in your database and bring up the project manager where you can adjust some of these settings. So the description is kind of just for internal use only. So it'll only show up if you open up the project manager, but if you want, give it a description. My first project in sure. Click OK. And our project is set up. So if you go to your project list again, you'll see that project. So I've set up my project. Now back to the trainer. I'll click verify. And it recognized that I did it. So I got a little shower of confetti and a thumbs up. And if you're going through the trainer, just go through lessons one by one, verify that you're doing everything correctly, and you'll get a basic understanding of, or I guess an understanding of all the basic tools with planting if you're doing the planting lessons. Okay, so we've set up a new project. That means that we can start adding things to this project and place them into our plan. We can start designing basically. One thing you might do as you're, just starting a new drawing on a base file is working with concept graphics. So I'm going to just place a concept graphic to kind of get you familiar with the manager dialogues, which are similar between all of the modules, whether it's reference notes or planting or irrigation. If you want to follow along, that button is located in the FX Site tab under Design Develop called Concept. And this is where you can place various conceptual graphics. You can place hatch areas, you can place lines, nodes, or viewpoints. That's my layers manager getting in the way. So depending on what you want to use, you want to choose the right category for those objects. I want to place a node. So I'm going to select that category. And this is currently empty because I just started a new project. But I want to click on the new button. And choose a symbol for this node. And let's say the thing that I want to show first is the wind direction. So maybe I'll choose this symbol. And I'll name it veiling wind direction. I can give it a note. I can give it a width. Cost doesn't really apply to wind direction, but maybe if it was a node for, I don't know, like a kiosk or something, we can give it a cost just for a quick cost estimation. Go down to symbol. If you click on any of these thumbnails where a symbol is applied, you can change the symbol. The color can be changed like that. You can make the color a gradient where it'll automatically apply a gradient to the object. And you can assign a photo. And so any of this information, the title of the object, the notes, width, cost, symbol association, if you give it a photo, all that information is stored in your database within this project. So I click OK. And now that node is saved into the concept graphics manager, which is saved into my project. If I want to place it in the plan, I just select it and click on the place button. And the block will come in. Just at that moment, this block was pulled from the content library and it was defined in this drawing. And now I can place it wherever I see fit. Let's say right there. You can rotate it as you want. Just use the normal AutoCAD method. It's one of the beauties of working in LandFX, and you're familiar with AutoCAD. A lot of the same tools can be used. So things like rotate and scale with reference. Although we do have a cool, easier scale with reference tool. You're still working with AutoCAD, so if you're familiar with that, this should feel very familiar. Things like selecting and pressing M for move to move objects around. It's still there. So we have placed some prevailing wind direction. Now we will save this drawing. I just did a Control S. And I wanted to show one other little thing. Which is, this is a process that applies to all of the stuff within LandFX. So whether it's planting or irrigation or site amenities, for example. And it's a really neat way of streamlining your projects. So as you move along working in LandFX, you'll be creating multiple projects, setting up a bunch of different nodes or a bunch of plants or irrigation equipment can be tedious. It's a lot of setup just to get to start designing. But what you can do is actually import those things from other projects into new projects, making that setup much faster. So let's say I was starting a new project. Say it's my second project. Okay. And I wanted to bring that node in to my concept graphics. I can easily go to the import button here. The import button should be available on all of our manager dialog boxes, managers being the dialogs that hold your materials or assets that are used in your project. You can select the project that has the assets that I want to import. And since I only have the one, I'm going to select it and add to project. And it's going to copy over that object and all of the data associated with it. Let's see if this works. If you run into any issues and you want to create a LandFX support ticket, go to that help dropdown and click on the support button. And it's going to bring up basically your user profile here. And so you can fill out your information. So when you install LandFX, we should get basically a point of contact for all the users that are using LandFX. So your name will likely be in here. If not, please go to add new contact and fill out your information. Just makes everything a little bit easier. And then we'll be sending, our responses to the right person. And fill out the subject. So let's say concept graphics are scale, give us a subject, and then describe the issue. It helps us a lot, and it helps us get you solutions to you quicker and more accurately if you describe the issue fully. Things like what you were doing before the issue started, describing what the issue is, and maybe if you've already done some of your own troubleshooting, please explain, what you have done there. Basically, we want on our side to be able to replicate the issue, and then once we replicate the issue, then it's very easy for us to find a solution and send that back to you. And here you can add in your drawing file. So yeah, if you basically this drawing wasn't saved yet, so it didn't create a copy of the file with the project data. But if we were setting a support ticket with a drawing that has been saved before and has a LandFX project associated with it, and we click on support, you should get this message that says copy the DWG to the desktop so that it can be uploaded to the support team. And you want to click yes. And what that does, in addition to creating a copy of your drawing file, it also grabs attached XREFs or external references and makes a backup copy of your project data and combines them all into a LandFX export.zip on your desktop so that when you fill out this form, you can click the zip file button here and find that LandFX export zip and attach it. And we'll get those so that we can open up your drawing. We'll read your description so we can replicate it. And once we do that, it's usually very quick for us to figure out what's going on and get back to you with the solution.
Hey, Paul. I do have a question that just popped into the Q&A from Megan. My current firm doesn't use the full capabilities of LandFX, and she's here to learn the best practices. That said, they create a lot of outdoor kitchens. For site amenities, do vendors have items such as grills, access doors, etc.? And
I can't think of any of our current supported manufacturers or vendors that have grills and access doors, etc. But if you have manufacturers or vendors that you go through a lot for these sort of items, and you want to see them in the LandFX system, go ahead and let us know, and we could start the conversation with their company to see, I guess, if it makes sense for them to, I want to say showcase, but to have their products in our system. Right now we have major companies for like site furnishings, paving, and like irrigation equipment. So we do have, yeah, like benches and tables and planters and receptacles, umbrellas, but I don't think we have anything for grills, but we do have blocks for some of those items, I'm sure. And you can set those up as ref notes. And if we don't have, specific blocks for those, you can save your own blocks into the block library so that they're easily accessible. And then basically fill out generic ref note items for those, and that'll be saved into your project, which you can then use for later projects without having to set them up again. But yeah, let us know of any manufacturers that you use that you would like to see in the system, because then we can get their official specifications in the system so that you don't have to always set those up.
great. And that is all of the questions we had, basically. I think because it's been just over an hour, I think it's about time to wrap it up.
Yeah, I don't know where the last 15 minutes went. I was supposed to end this a little earlier. So if you have any more questions, and you're a quick typer, you can put them in now. But otherwise, go ahead and reach out to us, support@landeffects.com, and we will get those answered for you.
And we will post the recording of this along with the zip file that Paul had put in the chat. That will also be posted on the website.
All right, I think that that about does it. Everyone have a wonderful weekend.
All right, goodbye.